Does pear cider even exist? Is the question that I will answer by the end of this show. Hello and welcome to another episode of The More You Know Mondays. The more you know, the more you grow. And this week on the show, I will be talking about Gdpr. But before I get into that, you know what we have to do. We have to start this show off with positive vibes. It's the start of the week. It's the first episode in a very long time, and I do apologize for that. But I have to be real with you guys. I got the jab, right? I got my vaccination, my COVID-19 vaccination, AstraZeneca. Big up AstraZeneca. And when I got my vaccine last week, I think it was last week. Yeah, it was last week. I'm not gonna lie, there was a couple of days where it shook me. I felt like they say online or on the news, fatigue, a little bit, I was under the weather, I wasn't 100%, it shook my system. And usually around that time I usually record my podcast, and I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling on the right mindset and the right energy levels for me to record some competent content and for me to feel 100% behind what I'm saying and feel in the mood to be, not more in the mood, just to be believing the words that are coming out of my mouth. Because I feel like there's nothing worse than me just recording a show just to release it when my mental health wasn't there for me to actually be on these positive vibes. Right now, how I'm feeling right now, the sun's been out the last week, although it's kind of cold right now, but the sun has been out, so I'm on positive vibes, and I've recovered from whatever side effects happen from the vaccine. But if you are out there and you haven't had the vaccine, all I'm saying is go get it. Go get protected. At the end of the day, my opinion on it is why not? It's a thing that has affected the whole world globally, and it's not it's an isolated issue. Not even an isolated issue, something that a small group of people get, and it's only can be passed around those small groups of people. This affects everyone. So if you can protect yourself, which in fact also which in fact also protects everyone else, why wouldn't you? But that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. My opinion means nothing at the end of the day, but think about it, But anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with the quote. So obviously, if you are new here, welcome to the show. I will be doing some more videos. I want to do videos soon, and actually so you can see my face and my microphone and my facial expressions when I'm recording and that. Because I've been watching a few YouTube videos. I love YouTube. I spend a lot of time on YouTube as opposed to going on any other social media platform, because I don't know, something about YouTube where I don't have, it's a video and I possibly could learn something, or it's for pure entertainment, so I'm not too attached to the constant scrolling. But hey, I don't know, maybe again it's just me. I'm weird anyway. But anyway, we're going to get on with the quote. Like I said, if you're new here, welcome. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. And let's go. With that being said, let's get on with the quote. So this week's quote is not by an authored person. I'm sure it is by an authored person, but not an authored person that my application that I get my motivational quotes from has noted. So, as you know, I like to do my research on the flip reverse while I'm writing my show notes. So, if I find out who this quote is by, it will be on the Instagram post. But without further ado, the quote goes like this: do it for yourself and not anyone else. And I really like this quote because it's a really cool and good mantra to live by. When you're doing things, and this might sound like kind of weird if like maybe you're a mother or father or a sister or brother, or you could be a swim teacher or karate teacher or anyone listening to this applies to. I know, like, maybe if you feel like you look after or you take care of people, that the idea of doing something for yourself seems kind of maybe weird or alien. And all I mean is, of course, you should take care of the people that are near and dear to you and that need taking care of. But when I mean do it for yourself, I just mean in the sense of, or what I take from this quote is that make changes about yourself if you believe that these changes need to be made, or make changes about your state of mind if you believe that these changes need to be made. But don't feel like you need to make changes in your life for other people. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. No one else has to live with you. In the sense of, yeah, you might have other people that live in your house, but you live inside of your own body. So you're the only one at the end of the day, really and truly, that these things are really going to affect. For example, say you are an untidy person. And say, for example, every time, wherever you go, you leave the place untidy and your bedroom's a mess and everything. But for whatever reason, like one day, a girl that you're seeing, she happens to come round your house. And the day that she's coming round, like, you decide that night you're like, oh shit, well, I better tidy up my room because I got this girl coming over and I don't want her to believe that I'm this untidy mess, this slob. Like, oh no, she'll get like the wrong idea. She'll think that I'm not a tidy person, and I don't want her to believe that I'm not a tidy person, so I need to tidy up my mess. So you tidy up your mess, and yeah, your room looks tidy while she's there, but it's not something that you're going to keep up when she's gone, because the moment she leaves, your mess from your wardrobe all comes out and everything's a mess again, and you're living in this room of a junk and stuff like that. Or you suddenly tidy up after yourself when she's around, but when she's not around, you don't tidy up after yourself. That's the kind of thing that I mean. Like, when you're doing these things or making these changes that you believe that are not maybe acceptable, do it for yourself. Don't do it for other people, because when you're doing it for some other people, you're not doing it genuinely. You're doing it disingenuously, because you're doing it to be accepted by them, as opposed to having yourself accepted for who you are. Changing your personality to fit in only works for a certain amount of time before, like, the cracks between what you really are and who you're trying to hide kind of comes out, is what I mean. So think about that. Be the person that you want to be all the time, instead of being the person that you want to be when people are around to try and impress them or something like that. That's all I'm talking about. So, as I was saying, this week's quote, and I hope you do take some motivation and some inspiration from it, from the things I've said and this quote itself. So, do things for yourself and not anyone else. But yeah, so now let's get into the show. So as I said at the tippity top, I am going to be talking about GDPR. Now, you might be thinking, hey Kory, why are you talking about GDPR? And that's a good question. And to answer your question, the reason why is I was doing some learning about GDPR and I found it oddly interesting. So I thought I would share more about it, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that when this whole movement, I'm going to call it a movement, but it's a law that was motioned and passed. When this law came into practice in 2018, it was on the 25th of May 2018. Everyone was talking about it in 2018. Back then, everyone's like, GDPR. And I was just like, yeah, cool. All right, cool. It sounds interesting. Data protection. Yeah, I'm down. But I didn't really look too much into it until I started learning about it. And I was like, well, this is actually pretty interesting. And I'm sure that not a lot of people actually know much about it. So I thought I would give you a little summarize of the reason why this whole GDPR thing is a big thing and that more people should possibly actually know more about. Because what companies do with your data is interesting and actually important for you to keep a check on, because it's no uncommon practice that companies or social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, I said Facebook and Instagram, but I should have just said Facebook because Facebook owns Instagram and WhatsApp. So when I say Facebook, when you think of Instagram and WhatsApp, you also talk about Facebook. So Facebook's company plan, like the way how they make money, is by selling advertisements. That's how Facebook makes money. And you would think, well, hang on, Facebook is a social media platform where I talk to my friends. What do you mean they make money by selling adverts? Yeah, so how do they sell adverts? Oh, you know those adverts that get passed to you on your phone when you're scrolling on Instagram or scrolling on Facebook, and then you're just like, well, hang on, how do you guys know so much about me? This is the perfect ad. Yeah, I would definitely click on this. I would definitely possibly buy this. Yeah, because Facebook has all your information about what you like and what you dislike and what you click on and how long you look at something for. And they just share this information with advertisement companies, who then in turn pass these adverts to Facebook and be like, well, through your algorithm, we know that Jane Doe looks at animals every day. So start showing her adverts about animals, and I'm sure she'll really appreciate those adverts, as opposed to seeing adverts about football, because she's not really into football. So it would be pointless advertising and sharing and showing her football adverts because she's not into that. But if we show her things like, and this is what I mean, this is the whole game plan. That's how they make money. And the thought of that means that they sell our data to advertisement companies so they can make a buck and they can stay afloat pretty much. And I don't know how well that sits with me. Now, I'm sure Facebook has some whole terms of service, terms and conditions, the small print that not many people read. And because I didn't plan on talking so much in depth about Facebook, I haven't had a chance to actually look at these terms of service. This is literally just a flow of spin, of conversation, of thought, where I was going with my podcast, you know? So I was just sticking to GDPR. But we will do another episode, maybe a deep dive. I would love to do a deep dive on like some topics. So yeah, I might do a deep dive on Facebook behind the scenes and what they do with our data. That would be an interesting episode. Yeah, I will do that. So this is how I work out plans and ideas. I hash them out with myself and I'm like, do you know what, Kory? That sounds like a good idea. Write that down in a notepad. And I just got pages and notes, which was ideas and stuff. But anyway, GDPR, that's what you came here to listen for. You saw it on the advert, on the advert. This is not on TV. You saw it on, possibly an advert. You saw it on the front of the episode, cover art. And that's what brought you here. Let's find out more about GDPR. And instead, I've told you about Facebook and what they do with your data. Now, as I said in the beginning, my opinion means nothing. So take it or leave it. Like I said before as well, haven't fully looked at their terms of service. I think that 100% what that is. Because I'm going to do a deep dive on them in a future episode. And I was telling you now because I was working it out and the microphone is still on. And I guess I could have like paused it, but I mean, where would be the fun in that? Anyway. So put simply, what is GDPR? So GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation, which is a legal framework that sets guidelines for the collection and processing of personal information from individuals who live in the European Union. Which, you know, on the face of it, sounds pretty simple because, I mean, 3 years ago, back in 2018, I guess the UK was still in the European Union, so that all made sense. So I was curious to know how that would affect us now that we've moved out of the EU. So us being UK citizens, when GDPR was coming about, we were in the EU and we signed up for it and it became part of our UK legislation as well. But now we're no longer in the EU. Does this legislation still hold weight in the UK? And basically the short and long of it is no. It doesn't still technically hold weight in the UK now we've left the EU. So, as you know, all our proud citizens of the United Kingdom, we left the EU. I did not vote for it, but that's democracy for you. You may not vote for it, but the majority did. So, or maybe not the majority. I'll do an episode on how the whole voting system is set up, because we got an election coming up in for the mayor, the new mayor of London, and that is, if I can remember the polling card, I think it's the 8th of May. Don't quote me on that 100%, but I think that's what it said. But yeah, so I want to do an episode on that. And here you go, another instance of how I work out my episodes from doing episodes. But anyway, so how it works is, obviously, as we left we left the European Union on the 31st of December 2020, which was my birthday. So happy belated birthday for me. I got another birthday coming up at the end of this year, so Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. There's another one coming, but it's just nice to see it in a report. So, although, as I said, we've exited the European Union, so technically GDPR does not apply. The European GDPR doesn't apply. However, the UK has their own Data Protection Act, which was amended or applied in 2018 also. So, although this Data Protection Act was already enacted to have the requirements of the European Union GDPR. So this is where it kind of got a bit complex for me in my head, and it probably is really simple. So the UK's Data Protection Act of 2018, which had the requirements of the European Union's GDPR, came into effect on the 1st of January 2021. This was a Data Protection, Privacy and Electronic Communications Amendment, EU Exit, Regulations of 2019. So I assume this was something that they had already assigned back in 2019 of a thing that, okay, cool, we were exiting the European Union, so this is us leaving, and we've already set the requirements, and we've got the same level of protection or regulation in our law anyway. So with this new amendment of the Data Protection Act, the UK's Data Protection Act 2018, it's basically merged with the European Union's GDPR already. So, although the GDPR of the European Union no longer applies to UK citizens, the UK have basically created their own version of GDPR, which they're calling the new regime, which started on the 1st of January 2021, UK GDPR. So when the question is asked, does GDPR still apply to us in the UK? Technically, no. The European Union one doesn't. But the UK one does. And the funny thing that I find here is, although the UK one applies in the UK and the European Union one applies in the European Union, it's the same damn GDPR regulations, because we were part of them. We merged our laws so it could be the same as theirs. And now we've left them with the same law, but just rebranded it and calling it the UK GDPR. So, no, it doesn't apply to us. But yes, it does apply to us. Which is the whole, it's funny because it's like, it feels like nowadays that's what it is, to be British. Yes, it does apply to you. No, it doesn't apply to you. Not even what it is to be British. That's what lockdown feels like. Yes, you should be in lockdown, but if you need to go to work, yes, you should be in lockdown. Yes, you should be working from home. But if you can't work from home, then yes, you should be going out there and using public transport, but you should be at home. But if you can't be at home, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just funny. But that being said, the UK does have GDPR still, but then not the European Union one, which I've said, I think, 1 million times now. So, yeah. In the broad stroke of things, hopefully you understand a bit more about GDPR. Well, you understand the baseline of what it is, what it does. But how does it pertain to your personal data? That is the question. You know that it protects you from your personal data, but how? And why? Basically, GDPR updates the privacy law for this new technological age that we live in, with all the technological developments and how we use technology and social media, and everything is online now, much more than we use paper or anything analog. So the law needed to update, or our privacy laws that protect every single one of us needed to update to reflect that. And that's basically what GDPR does for you. It increases the restrictions on what organizations can do with your data. And it extends the rights of individuals to the access and the control about what they do with it. Obviously, this is an amazing thing that it protects you and your data from these billionaire companies. That's the phrase that I'm going to go with. It's not the phrase that I think wanted to come out of my lips. Do you know, like when you want to say something and that phrase is on the tip of your tongue, but that the words aren't coming out, so you just go with another synonym of the same word that you were going to use, but it wasn't the word that you wanted. I'm sure it will come to me like in a random point in the future. And I love and hate when that happens. Like you're doing something in the future and the word that you were that was on the tip of your tongue finally goes down your throat and comes out as words, and you're just like, damn, that was the word. That was the word I was looking for. But it's too late at this point because you're in the future and you needed it in the past. Such a shame you can't like do those little time travels, like just to be like, you could like, you remember and you just press a button, you just zip back into the past so you can say that word and zip forward, and you're just like, I feel better. It's just the little things, you know? Sometimes it's just the little things. Anyway, this is a good thing because it extends, in some cases, those restrictions and safeguards on what can and cannot be done with your personal data. And this is based on information handled within the European Union or information handled with a European Union citizen outside of the European Union. So with that being said, I can only assume that the UK GDPR, with it being in line with the same regulations as the European Union one, that means that it must work in the same way. So it pertains to information that is used in the UK about a UK citizen, or used and protected, or if you're in another country and your information is being used, your information is also protected under UK GDPR law. So that means wherever you are in the world, your data, your personal data, is always protected, which is the main thing at the end of the day. So some of the key elements of GDPR is it is processed fairly, lawfully, and transparently. So if you ever go to any of the websites that you frequently visit on a daily basis, and you're curious to know about what this company or website is doing with your data, you can access this information on any website that you're on by scrolling right down to the bottom of the page and clicking on their privacy policy. It's usually called privacy policy, or maybe it says privacy or something along those words. If you click on that, you can scroll down and it will have like a FAQ kind of setup explaining exactly what they are going to be doing with your data. So you can see transparently, fairly, and that they're going to be using your data for lawful means as to the law of GDPR. So, and that's something that they're sharing so that you can see, and it's in the hopes that no foul play will be done on either party's side, because everyone's clear of how the data is being used. It is collected and processed for a specific reason and stored for specific periods of time, and that it is not used for reasons beyond the original purpose. Which is, like I was saying, you will see this all in the privacy policy, but whenever they're using your information, they will specifically state exactly why they are using your information, how long it's going to be stored for, and then your information can't be used for anything other reason past the stipulated time and stipulated reason that they were using your data for in the first place. Only the data necessary for the purpose it is intended to be collected, and it's not used for anything more. It is accurate, and that reasonable steps are taken to ensure that it remains accurate. So the information that they have on you is correct to the information that you have given them. There's no false information. The only reason why they would have false information is if you have given them false information. They will never falsify any information about you. It is kept in a form that allows the individual to identify only as long as it is necessary. So they only have it for as long as they need it. You know that. You can check out this to make sure that they don't have your data past that period. And it is kept securely protected from unlawful access, accidental loss, or damage. So this is also under GDPR, that your information is protected by these companies, whether that be encrypted on a file or kept in a locked storage container, filed in a locked filing cabinet, or this is all so that it's under the law, under GDPR, protection of everyone's data. Nothing can be leaked. Everything needs to be secure and protected. Otherwise, that company's in trouble. And the thing with GDPR is it doesn't just affect companies. If you're a self-employed person and you deal with personal data, then GDPR is something that you need to be making sure you're complying with, because otherwise you can get yourself in some trouble. And for this reason, that's why I believe that GDPR is something that more people should look deeper in, especially now that we are no longer in the European Union and we're now in the single market. And we should be up to date with the laws and the changes in the laws that, although from day to day they may not affect us, in the long run, and just knowing about what these things do kind of helps you, because the more you know, the more you grow. And that's where I will leave it this week about GDPR. So I hope you've enjoyed that. But I asked the question, or I posed a question at the tippity top of this show. And I said, does pear cider even exist. And when I was doing the research, trying to find this random interesting fact, I stumbled upon the fact that pear cider doesn't actually exist. And I know you might be sat there thinking, wait, hang on, Kory. I can prove to you that pear cider does exist, because I have a can of pear cider, or I have a bottle of pear cider, or I've had pear cider before. And yeah, you may have had pear cider, and I say that with air quotations. Pear cider. You may have had pear cider before, or what has been branded as pear cider. But pear cider as a thing doesn't exist, my friends. So this blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. But cider is an alcoholic beverage made from fermented apples. And the fun fact about cider is that it is the only definition of cider is the alcoholic beverage made from fermenting apples, and only apples. The process known for alcoholic beverages fermented from pears is actually called, or known as, perry. And this drink, perry, was quite popular in England for a few centuries, but then it fell out of favour around the second half of the 12th century. And then turned up around the 1990s, being rebranded as pear cider. So there you go. There you go. Fun fact. Pear cider doesn't exist. And anywhere you do see pear cider, just know that you are drinking perry. And it's been branded to you as pear cider so that you will drink a different flavor of, drink the perry thinking that you're drinking a different flavor cider. So anytime you see a fruit flavored cider, it's not actually cider, because cider is only the fermentation of apples. So if you have any other cider that is not apple, then it's actually another process, or maybe it's just with pears. But I'm just saying, if cider is only the fermentation of apples, then what are all these flavors? Are they just added just flavors to apple cider? So it's apple cider with berries, not, if you're catching my drift. But pear cider doesn't exist. You're drinking perry. Look it up. Do your Googles and all that jazz. And thank you for listening this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed recording it. And I guess that's the main thing at the end of the day. I'm doing this for me. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it though, and you don't take that the wrong way as if I'm like this arrogant guy. I'm really not. I'm just really enjoyed recording this episode because it's been a while. And like I said, last week when I wanted to record an episode, I wasn't really in the mood. So this week that I'm actually in the mood and I've actually recorded it and I've actually got to the end of it, I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite happy with myself. And I hope you have, like I said, enjoyed this episode and enjoy the rest of your week. And if you have any comments or things to say or messages, DM us on social media or drop us an email at myopinionmeans@gmail.com. Sorry, it's because I said at first and I'm like, well, hang on, email addresses have the at in the middle. So it's myopinionmeans@gmail.com. Just drop us an email if you've got anything to say, anything you want me to look into. Like I said, I've got some interesting episodes, as you heard me work out in this episode, coming soon. And peace out. I'll speak to you guys soon. Until next time, live long and prosper.